Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. And this right here, this is G Money, Grant Mitchell, and to all the people out there that didn't believe Taylor Swift was going to the Super Bowl, to all the people that thought Dan Campbell was not going to do stupid things, welcome to the show. And you can't teach that. Bada boom, man, the people in the room. G Money, how you doing?
Electric intro, Tanner. More than anything, I'm glad the Super Bowl color scheme rumor, whatever, the theory is dead, because I didn't want to see that. Like, it would have been wild if 3 years in a row we actually have the teams line up with the colors of the Super Bowl logo, and then going into next year there would have been futures bets on the teams. You know, if it's a green and a blue logo, then we're gonna have the Cowboys playing I don't know, what's a green AFC team? You get the point that I'm making. I'm glad that's dead.
Yeah, I'm glad it's dead too. I mean, I'm glad that Patrick Mahomes, the NFL built up Patrick Mahomes to a point where it looked like he could not beat this unbeatable team. People were talking about the Ravens like they were the 85 Bears yesterday. Like the whole pregame show, this Ravens team's amazing. But like nobody really gave Patrick Mahomes his credit. So I'm happy that they're in the game. I'm also happy on the flip side that Dan Campbell didn't come through, because he deserved not to come through because of the stupid things he did throughout that game. And the Lions too. They didn't get the job done. We're going to break it all down on the show though, Grant.
Yep. And you know what I was actually really surprised about in the build-up to that game was how many quote-unquote sharps were on the Ravens. Is it fair to call them sharps if they still lost?
I don't know. It's like, again, we've said it on the podcast. Like, the Ravens were the better team, 100% top to bottom. They were playing great, but you're going against Tom Brady of this generation. Like, if you bet on Patrick Mahomes every opportunity you get as an underdog over the course of his career, you're going to be up a lot of money. Like, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and I saw one bet came in $200,000 on the Ravens money line. I was like, well, if you're backing the Ravens, you know, take them on the spread, or else you're not confident in them. At the very least, go with like a -2.5. You're betting like -220 money line odds against Patrick Mahomes. Like, at that point, just save your money. You're clearly not confident in it, so just save your money. Don't put the bet down.
100%. All right, Grant. So before we get to that, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, like, share, do it all. Blast this episode out. We're going to be a lot of hot takes in here. I'm passionate about these games. Just watching some of the moves that were made. It's like, so very excited to break it down on the show, guys. Check out WSN.com and subscribe again. Keep subscribing. I know I say it, but keep subscribing, guys. That's all linked down in the bio below. So, Grant, let's start with Chiefs, right?
Yep.
All right. Why don't you give me your initial thoughts, then I'll answer.
After the first possession of the game, I texted all my friends. I said, this game is over. For Baltimore to have so much buildup, for the energy and intensity was palpable through the television. They had Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Terrell Suggs, who last won his Super Bowl with the Chiefs, which I don't quite understand why he was there. But they had these Baltimore legends out there. The whole buildup, it was, this is finally Lamar's time. You know, this is it. We've got the best defense ever. Like you said, we've got the Bears of the 80s. This is our team. This is our year. We are the ones to knock off Mahomes. They went 3 and out, and I said this game is over. There's no way. Like, you have to at least get a first down somewhere. For the Chiefs to come out and make that defensive stand, I said, oh yeah, the Ravens aren't doing anything today. And then, of course, the Chiefs go right down the field, easy touchdown. Again, hit all my friends. I said, this one is over. I look at the odds makers. Look at the different betting apps. They got the Kansas City Chiefs live money line, -110 when they're up 7-0. They get the ball coming out in the second half too. Bam, throw down some live bets on that. I said, there's no way. This is just stupid. Why are we counting out Patrick Mahomes? This is the greatest quarterback we've ever seen. He covers 90% of the time as an underdog. He wins 80% of the time straight up as an underdog. Why are we doing this? Overall in this game, I thought it was, look, Lamar was disappointing. The Ravens defense was disappointing. But the biggest culprit in all of it, in my opinion, is Todd Monken. Todd Monken had the worst possible offensive game plan. It was like he only watched sports debate shows leading up to this and said, you know what? This is Patrick Mahomes versus Lamar Jackson. I have to put everything on Lamar's back. So they were blocking 5 when the Chiefs were sending 6 at him. This is the most mind-blowing stat. The Ravens only called 3 designed runs on first or second down the entire game. This is the team that led the league in rushing yards. Your whole offense is predicated on your ability to run the ball. Your number one receiver is Odell Beckham. He didn't even get to play until the third quarter. You are not built to go throw for throw with Patrick Mahomes, but that's what you made them do. So, yes, there are a lot of people you can point to, but I think it was just a horrendous game plan.
Well, Monken, he was just taking shots down the field the entire game with Lamar Jackson. Lamar was not putting the ball in a position to get a pass interference call. Lamar was terrible yesterday. He did not know what hit him. He had absolutely no. This was the worst he's ever looked in his career, I'm sure, in a big spot. And it just wasn't a good spot because obviously Patrick Mahomes, people were saying you have to win this game to be on Mahomes' level. I thought Monken's play calling was terrible. I thought the entire Ravens team was terrible. I thought they were a massive disappointment. I was getting angry watching the game yesterday or watching the pregame show because everyone was talking about the Baltimore Ravens like this team was unbeatable. But you're going against Patrick Mahomes, a team that this Chiefs team looks more driven than any Chiefs team we've ever seen. Maybe it's because of the Taylor Swift stuff. Maybe it's because they're playing the bad guy role and they have a chip on their shoulder. But this Chiefs team right now looks probably as driven as any Chiefs team we've ever seen. And the 49ers, we can talk about them in a minute. But the Chiefs match up very well against the San Francisco 49ers. But looking at this game as a whole, there were a few things that I was blown away with. Number one was how well the Chiefs actually moved the football in the first half. That was pretty impressive. Number two was how the Ravens just couldn't find a way to climb back in the game. This was similar to the Buffalo game last week in the sense of the Chiefs gave the other team opportunities. They gave the Ravens chances to climb back in the game. The Ravens just couldn't find a way to do it. And I know, the Zay Flowers situation didn't help, but the Chiefs had chances to lose this game as well as they played, just like they did against Buffalo, but they still found a way to win. Zay Flowers is the biggest idiot I think I've ever seen in my life. He's a idiot. You are down 10. You're getting absolutely bitched. I'll say it. They're getting bitched. And Zay Flowers catches a blown coverage football and doesn't score. And he's getting up he won a one-on-one jump ball and they're up 10 and he's spinning the ball in the dude's face. What are you doing, Zay Flowers? That was stupid. That's just undisciplined football. Same thing what we saw from the Ravens all day. Roquan Smith going across the line of scrimmage, popping the dude. That's undisciplined football. I know you were meant to jump off sides there. Just tap the dude. Don't go through and get a personal foul there. It's just stupidity. The Ravens were smacked in the mouth. They didn't know what to do, and they folded. And that's what happened.
I think undisciplined is a great word for all of it. I think you can apply it to the play calling. I don't think they were disciplined to who they are as a team. And when you look at what the Buffalo Bills did a week and a day ago, whatever it was, they ran for 186 yards on the Chiefs defense. Again, Baltimore, you have the number one rushing attack in the league. Going into this game, we were talking about how, quarterbacks have found so much success running the ball. Lamar's been running the ball well. The Chiefs gave up the 8th most rushing yards to quarterbacks. Run the ball. Josh Allen took advantage of them last week. There was just no effort to do what they were good at. To your point, some of their just discipline on the defensive side of the football, the Chiefs were opening up holes like nobody's business, whether that was through the air or on the ground. The penalties, it was a failure in every aspect. And to touch on Lamar, look, Lamar did not play a good game. Not at all going to say that. I actually don't think he was that bad for the first half. I feel like he was just overwhelmed. The offensive line was letting guys through. And the second half, I think he was really bad. And especially when you're driving down the field and you've got that chance to, despite everything, despite getting dominated, kind of like the Buffalo game. The Chiefs won by 3 points, but they probably beat him by 30 in terms of actual performance. If you're Lamar, you're driving down the field here, you've got a chance to bring this game to 17-14. You got all your timeouts, half the fourth quarter left, and you throw that interception in the end zone. That was your final chance to do something, and it was a bit of a backbreaker. And Lamar, is usually somewhat emotionless, and I say in a good way, he's pretty stoic. You saw the frustration getting to him. He got sacked. He slammed the football on the ground. He throws the interception. He takes his helmet off and slams it on the ground on the sideline. You could see it. This team was frustrated. Zay Flowers smacks his hand on the bench and cuts it open. And it was a frustrating day to be a Ravens fan and a Ravens player.
Well, the Ravens don't know what to do when adversity strikes. That's exactly what the game showed you. They were not smacked in the mouth at all. They didn't expect to be smacked in the mouth. They saw that they were probably a big favor, and they're like, this is our year, and nobody's going to stop us. Lamar's unbeatable. And they got smacked in the mouth. The bully got punched in the face, and that's what happens. But Zay Flowers, you should be cut. Honestly. That is stupidity at its finest. If one player blew the game out, as bad as the Ravens played, If it was on one player in that football game, it's Zay Flowers. And you know what? Diving across the pylon, knocking the ball, stuff's going to happen like that.
That's a
But
great play by Snead.
That's a great play. I don't fault Zay Flowers there at all. But the fact of the matter is, you should have been on the 10-yard line, whatever, 4 plays before that. When just stupid stuff. Like, that's the thing you do when you're up 20. You just mossed a dude and you're about to go win the football game. Not when you need to score 10 points to come back into the football game. So I was shocked there. Lamar, just like you said, I think the play clock in Lamar's head looked off yesterday. Like, he wasn't feeling pressure. Usually in the moments that he feels pressure, he just takes off and goes. He was holding on to the ball way too long yesterday. I think that was because he was facing a lot of pressure. Man, I don't put the game on Lamar. I put it on the entire team. Like, it was just a bad effort from the Ravens. I think they thought they were going to walk in there and dominate the Chiefs. Obviously, that didn't happen. They were smacked in the mouth, didn't know what to do.
Yeah, and this is kind of what's happened with when the Chiefs played the Eagles. Now, the Eagles did win that game, I believe, right? Yeah, the Eagles beat the Chiefs. But going into that was when the Eagles were actually still a good team at that point. And what we saw was the Eagles won in a way that we didn't expect. Like, we expected the Eagles to throw them around and dominate the trenches. The Chiefs were the more physical football team in that game. Look at Buffalo last week. The Chiefs were the more physical football team. The Chiefs were the more physical football team than the Ravens in this game. And again, looking ahead to the 49ers, the Chiefs, like you said, I like your word, they look driven. They look angry. They are physical. They look like they're going to take the fight to anybody. And yes, they've had some problems at receiver, but all of a sudden, MVS is making plays. Rashee Rice has really come to his own. And it's almost like they were load managing kind of Travis Kelce. Like, obviously he was still playing, but they weren't funneling their whole offense to him. But now in the playoffs, they're like, look, we got 2-3 games to go win a Super Bowl. You want to do it? You're getting everything thrown at you. So this team looks really scary right now.
Travis Kelce has heard so much like Taylor Swift stuff. I bet like he's just playing, balling out of his mind. Like, I think this whole season, like, the Chiefs are becoming the bad boys of the NFL a little bit, in the sense of Taylor Swift. Like, everyone wants to see the Chiefs lose because of Taylor Swift, which absolutely makes no sense. Then you have Brittany Mahomes, you have Jackson Mahomes. Like, you just have so many reasons to hate the Chiefs, and they're the best, and people hate winners.
Yeah, people just hate Mahomes too. Like, it's the same thing with the Brady Patriots. Like, they just want to see someone else.
So I just want to say how well I played this game yesterday, because it usually doesn't happen like this. It usually doesn't happen. Ravens are up 10 points. I got a nice little Super Bowl future on the Ravens. Wins $1,500. Or yeah, wins $1,500. So I cash out for a $170 profit on, because I'm like, they're not going to win this game. They're down 10, and I'm getting that. So I'm going to take it. So I take that. And I bet the Chiefs before to win the Super Bowl. So I was going into it thinking, okay, I'm going to lose one here. So I cashed out the Ravens, made the right decision, and the Chiefs came through for me. And if you believed that Patrick Mahomes wasn't going to cover 4.5 points yesterday, you were outside of your mind. That's insane.
Yeah, I had the Chiefs straight up. I actually had them at 3.5. And, I wasn't worried when it went to 4.5. I didn't care. I was like, I knew the Chiefs were, I just shouldn't say I knew, but I had a strong feeling the Chiefs were going to win that game outright. And then my favorite play of the week last week, Tater, does not get easier than this. The Chiefs at plus 10.5 and the lines at plus 14.5. What are we doing for minus 110, minus 120 odds? That was free money, just gift wrapped and handed to you.
Well, Dan Campbell tried to not. Dan Campbell did his best to not cover yesterday. He wanted to lose the football game. You ready to move in the line?
Yeah, let's move on. All you start this one.
Dan Campbell, what are you doing? Like, what do you? I get it. Oh, everyone's saying, oh, they got here by being aggressive. Yes, they did. They did get there by being aggressive. But maybe we should think about being aggressive when the stakes are like super high. Okay, so let's go back to the first time. They're up 14. You got all the momentum in the world. You're up 14. There is such a big difference from a 3-score game to from a 2-score game. I can see going for it if you're up 11 and that field goal gets you to 14. I can see that 100%, because in the end of the day, it's still a 2-score game. I cannot see you not kicking to make it a 17-point lead when your defense has done enough to win the football game, when your offense is able to move the ball up and down the field. What are you doing? Make it a 3-score game. Then we go back to later in the game when they do eventually lose the lead. They're down 3 now. You can kick a 48-yard field goal. And the play call that they did look like they were trying to get into field goal range to make it a shorter kick. They don't kick. What are you doing? Make it tie the game, because your offense has done enough to answer. Your offense can drive the field. What are you doing, Dan Campbell? So that was bad. obviously the fumble earlier in the game. Like they had a really bad sequence there. But in the end of the day, you got to blame Dan Campbell for not taking the points. Like this is 4th and 3 too. This isn't 4th and 1.
So I want to be very clear with my words here. I don't blame Dan Campbell's play calling, but because Dan Campbell chose those plays, he deserves the blame. Here's what I mean by that. The whole ethos of this Lions team is aggressiveness, right? So I can't blame Dan Campbell for doing what he's done this entire time. But when you make those decisions to go for it on 4th down, you are saying, if this goes wrong, I am accepting the blame for it. So I'm not calling it a bad call, but because it didn't work, he has to be blamed for it. And that's what he bears responsibility for. For me, the thing that I think he did the absolute worst in this game was at the end when they go to the goal line. You've got, I think it was like 56 seconds left. You come out with 3 receivers, and then you run it to the boundary with Gibbs, not even Montgomery, who's your short yards back, and you get stuffed there. Now you have to burn a timeout. And that's what, just thinking ahead, you score, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown here, you go for the onside kick, you don't get it. You still have your 3 timeouts, so you can force the Niners to punt the ball back to you and give you a chance to tie or win this game. By burning a timeout, now all of your hopes rely on the onside kick, which has like a 1% conversion rate. In my mind, when you send your team out for that 3rd down, first of all, don't send them out to run the ball. But second of all, you have to have either another play called for immediately after it, so you can go no huddle, get back on the ball, or you have to have your special teams ready to run out there like you do before the end of the half or the end of the game when you got no timeouts. Like as soon as this play ends, you guys are running out and you're kicking it. You can't burn a timeout there because now, again, you have no hope of getting the ball back. All you're doing is praying that you can recover the onside kick. That was the biggest problem for me.
So I think that was bad management at the end of the game. Like if you're going to run the ball there, you got to get in the end zone. Like even if you run a team, like your field goal team on, like you're losing so much time there. So you got to get in the end zone. That doesn't bother me as much because in the end of the day, you're probably still going to need to get that onside kick. So when you get the ball back, you're going to have about 30 seconds with no timeouts. And then in that case, if you were to kick, you still need a touchdown. So that bothered me, not as much as the field goals. And the bottom line is the Lions weren't meant to win this football game. Outside of the times where they could have kicked, there were plenty of opportunities to finish the game. There were plenty of opportunities to close out the 49ers. Good teams find a way to finish games. They dropped passes down the stretch. They fumbled. They didn't get the job done. That's what it comes down to. I don't think this Lions team was better than the 49ers. I think they got out to a lead. They dominated early. They found a way, but overall the better team won the game, but the Lions allowed them to win the game. The Lions would have just done a few different things, made a few more plays, easily are going to the Super Bowl.
I like one play the Lions make, and it goes back to that sequence. I don't think the Niners won this game. Like this is one of the luckiest comebacks I think you can see. I think everything just went right at the perfect times for them. You have that 4th down with the Lions. I think it's 4th and 2 or 4th and 3 at like the 30, 25 yard line, somewhere around there. They have a little out route to Reynolds. It's in his hands. He drops it. It's a bit of a tough catch. Got to catch that. Like 10 times out of 10, you got to catch that. But it was covered. He was like falling down a little bit. So whatever, that happens. The Niners go down the field. They score. Then on your the next drive, the Niners are going down the field. They have that bomb which goes off the Lions defender's helmet right into Ayuk's hands. Lucky as you'll ever see, McCaffrey pounds it in. Then on the first play of the Lions' next drive, Jahmyr Gibbs fumbles. You fumble at like the 25-yard line. So, of course, the Niners are going to score there. And then the next drive, the Lions on 3rd down, 3rd and 10, have a perfect crossing route. This is like a 12-yard catch with at least another 15 yards after the catch, and Reynolds again drops it. And the Niners take that, and they go down the field and score. So it was just a perfect sequence to help them get a launching pad to come back into this game. And you know what? Credit to them for doing what they had to do and taking advantage of those opportunities, because while the Lions earned their luck, they didn't capitalize on the plays where they had that luck. The Niners, I don't think they earned their luck, but when things broke their way, they took advantage of it, and that's what allowed them to win that game.
Yeah, they blew a 17-point halftime lead. Like at the end of the day, a team can't come back from a 17-point deficit. The other team has to give them the opportunities to come back from the 17-point deficit. And that's exactly what the Lions did. The drop, Josh Reynolds outside of early in the game, like looked like he was on San Francisco to win the game. Like that's what it came down to. He was horrendous. Amon St. Brown was quiet in big spots. I didn't see much from him when
He was really good early. He had
Yeah.
a bunch of third down conversions, but didn't do much at the end.
No, the whole team didn't do anything at the end. And Jahmyr Gibbs, you can't fumble. It's that simple. Don't fumble. Like, you ever seen Coach Boone and remember the Titans?
Yeah.
Don't fumble the football. Don't be
Yeah.
fumbling my football. Run a mile. Like you can't fumble the ball. It's make the plays you need to make. Don't fumble the ball. Like punt the football. Don't try to be too aggressive. Hold on to it tight. I know we're just talking about this, and it's a lot harder when you're actually on the field when dudes are running at you. But your biggest job there is to not fumble the ball. I don't care if you get 1 yard, negative yards. Force yourself to punt at least, to give the ball and make them drive the field, make them earn it. They didn't, and the Niners didn't have to earn it.
Can I say this, though, Tanner? And I also want to talk about Brock Purdy before we get out of here. But before that, I do want to say that first half was utter domination by the Lions, and it pretty much all happened in the trenches. Like, talk about the bully getting bullied. The Niners got punched and beat down and choked and submitted. And when you look, obviously the Lions have a great offensive line. Obviously, no doubt about it. But the Chiefs' offensive line is pretty slept on. Like, they've got some really good dudes up there. They bullied the Bills. They bullied the Ravens. And now you're telling me that look at how the Niners look to start that game. You know, I'm not saying the Chiefs are going to be up 24-7 at halftime, but hey, if the Chiefs are up 7-0, if they're up 3-0 at halftime, I'm not convinced they're going to throw away that lead. And I think that the Chiefs, with this offensive line, with their ability to run the ball with Pacheco, the extensions of the running game with Kelsey and Rice, and obviously Mahomes, I think the Chiefs can absolutely bully the 49ers if they're going to show up looking like they did.
Yeah, without Tooney yesterday too. That's another thing. I mean, everyone was talking about how that was a huge loss. I didn't even notice it. So if the Chiefs play their game, obviously they should beat the 49ers. I think 49ers are overrated, extremely overrated. And I think the Chiefs should be the favorite by the time this game kicks off, but we'll see. Anyways, Brock Purdy, what's your thoughts?
So, look, I've been labeled a Purdy hater. I like to think I'm more of a Purdy moderate. I was going to say moderate-ist. Try to invent a word there. Look, this is the thing about Brock Purdy. I always feel bad when we talk about him because he doesn't deserve to be criticized the way he is. He absolutely does not. He's done a sensational job. This is Mr. Irrelevant. In his second year, he broke the all-time record for yards per attempt, led the league in the majority of major passing categories, on probably the best team besides the Chiefs of the last 2 years. Like, you can't fault him for anything he's done. But because he happens to play for the Super Bowl favorites and he is their quarterback, he has been vaulted into this spotlight. And people want to say he's the MVP and he's the best quarterback in the league. And that's where all this criticism stems from, because he simply is not that. So I feel bad doing this, but talking about Purdy's performance, not impressed. Look, he made some good plays with his legs down the stretch. That was the best part of the game. The scramble. I think it was the fourth quarter. We ran from like the 50 to the 25. There was one where he ran up to like the 3 or 4 yard line, and then they punched it in. And there was also one play where the Lions had him in a chokehold in the backfield. He ducks out of it, throws that pass to Juszczyk, and he does like the little toe tap and falls out of bounds. Those 3 plays with his legs, electric, phenomenal plays. But he started that game so poorly that the interception was just inexcusable. He had another pass, which was thrown right into triple coverage, probably should have been picked. And then his biggest pass play of the game was an interception that happened to bounce off of the Lions player's helmet, and Ayuk picks it up and they score on the next play. You can't throw 3 sure interceptions like that and expect to win in the playoffs. You can't, whether it's your fault or not, you can't be the quarterback of a team down 24-7 at home in the playoffs and expect to win those games consistently. The Chiefs are not going to let you do that. So my feelings about Purdy, I don't feel any different than I did before. I think he's the obvious weak link on this team. Again, some good plays with his legs. Sure, I give him credit for that. But I think he's their biggest liability going into the Super Bowl.
I mean, he's making plays when he needs to make plays. I think the biggest thing with Brock Purdy is he was Mr. Irrelevant last year. He's playing better than most rookie starter, like not rookies, but
no doubt
rookies from his class. Like, he's doing more than top picks in his class. Like,
yeah, he's doing more than Trevor Lawrence is.
Yeah, he's doing more than Trevor Lawrence. Like, if I had to pick between Brock Purdy and Trevor Lawrence this season, I'm taking Brock Purdy, no matter what the team is, no matter what the talent is around him. So He made the plays when he needed to make them, and I think that's his role on this team, right? He does not have to go out and win the football game. Christian McCaffrey, the offensive line, like that's the part of the team that needs to go out and find a way to dominate it. I agree he wasn't great yesterday, but when he needed to make plays, and he did it with his legs, but when he needed to make plays down the stretch, he made them. So it's hard to criticize him considering has only been in the league 2 years. He was Mr. Irrelevant a year ago, and he's already got the team to this point. And say what you want, he has talent around him, but there's quarterbacks that you could put on this team that would not be taking them that far. But also, you could probably put Mac Jones on this team, and he could do similar things for you, right? Like that's the kind of situation we're in.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you said. Like, I feel bad criticizing Brock Purdy because he doesn't. The criticism is not warranted. Like he's playing well. If I were to make a list of quarterbacks in the league, probably have him like 14, 15. And for a
12.
second-year guy that was the last pick in the draft, he doesn't deserve that.
He was 12 from PFF this year. Like
yeah,
that was great.
It's right around there.
He's a mid quarterback. He should be a mid quarterback. He was Mr. Irrelevant. He's lucky to be in the league, and he's taking the team to a Super Bowl. Like this is like the Tom Brady story. You don't see the Tom Brady story every day. You don't see a Brock Purdy story. Like these are once in generational stories of these guys, getting drafted late and playing well. I'm not comparing Brock to Tom, but you just don't see this. Like 7th round, last pick in the drafts are not taking their team to the Super Bowl next year, no matter what the talent is.
Yeah, I agree. So it's an interesting matchup to follow, but like we're still gonna have, we're gonna have our Super Bowl picks show. We're gonna have prop shows. We're gonna have all sorts of stuff leading up to the big game, obviously. But Patrick Mahomes versus Brock Purdy, like we know which side of that matchup we want to be on.
So the line opened just real quick. Like the line opened at 2.5 to 3, depending on the book. I saw 2.5 at most spots. It's already down to 1 to 1.5. I know that the Niners money line, so I potentially will hedge my Super Bowl ticket. It was -140. Now it's down to like -120. So I think the Chiefs could be the favorite by kickoff, as crazy as that sounds. Just because they are the better team. They're the stronger team coming into this one. And I think the Niners are very overhyped, and we've seen that. They've survived in the playoffs all the entire time. And Brock Purdy versus Patrick Mahomes, we know who the edge goes to there. The Chiefs are playing well on defense. The Chiefs have a good run game with Pacheco. It might not be as good as Christian McCaffrey, but they still have the upper hand in most categories here.
Yeah, I agree. I was a little shocked. I did see as well that it was -2.5 to -3 on certain sports books. However, when I actually looked at the sports books myself, and that was within like 5 to 10 minutes of that Chiefs game finishing, I couldn't find a 3 anywhere. Like I looked at all of them. So that 3 had disappeared. If you're one of those people, then shout out to you. I'm looking at FanDuel right now. According to them, 70% of spread bets, 78% of spread money is on the Chiefs. There's no surprise there, in my opinion. Like you said, I would not be surprised if we see the Chiefs as the favorites at kickoff. I'm probably going to wait this one out because right now with the line at 1.5 to 2, there's really no point in rushing your bet. You might as well wait to see where this thing moves, where the big money bets come in. And you know what? If the Chiefs are favored by 1.5 at kickoff, again, you probably didn't lose too much. It's very rare games end in 1-point differences, but we'll wait and see. So I know you said you played the Ravens-Chiefs game well. You had the McCaffrey over in this in the 49ers game, and then you had the Lions. You had the Lions covering as well, right?
I had Lions covering. I didn't like it. I basically said if I had to pick a side, I would take that. I didn't play that. I took McCaffrey rushing, McCaffrey combined, so both those hit. Luckily, his rushing hit in that final run of the game where he got injured a little bit there. And then Lamar obviously didn't come through with his rushing, but I also had Travis Kelce over receiving. So I was 3-1 props yesterday. It was a really good day. Really, really good day.
I had McCaffrey receiving, which hit. I had Montgomery touchdown for the +170 because, again, that value made no sense. That hit. I had Lamar rushing, which did not hit, but I have the Kelce touchdown, and then I had both games right. So pretty good weekend for me and you. Both.
Yeah. So if you're not following the show, which we gave out all the picks on the show, make sure you follow the show. It's not rocket science. It's never been rocket science. Grant, take us out of here.
Guys, that's going to do it for this Monday episode of Ride the Line. Hopefully your team won this weekend. If not, we're sorry, but we still got one more game to come, the Super Bowl. Tanner and I are going to be putting out all our picks, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed, get in the comment section, let us know who impressed you the most this weekend, and we will see you all on the next episode of Ride the Line.